This morning I had two really fun OBE VR lucid dreams, and I was asking Joel to give me one that was awesome and spectacular, that was on the par of when he took me to the Blue Igloo, that big ass igloo, inside that big ass igloo. Well, he gave me one just as good this morning. I keep smelling cat piss. Simba, you better not be spraying. It's probably on his paws. I can smell a little bit on his paws. Because he puts his paws in the litter. You better not be spraying. I'll kick your butt. But, yeah, so, he gave me a really good one this morning. And, yeah, he showed me some stuff. And, what he created, it was just as good as that igloo one. Probably equally as good. But the first experience, like, I totally forgot it, and then as I was sitting here, I remembered it. And sometimes I'll ask Joel or whoever to help me remember, and so I think they were probably helping me, because I know, like, all day I had forgot the first one, because the second one, the good one, kind of trumped the first one. But now I remembered it, and so I hurried up and like wrote it down. The second one I don't have to write down, but that first one I went ahead and typed it out, because it was like coming to me. But it was fun. Both of them were fun. So basically, okay, I got something in my eye. Okay, so basically, okay, so me and my friend Angie, we went to Dallas, and the scenario, we basically went to Dallas and shopped at a clothing store, a shopping center, and in real life, we did go to Dallas a long time ago. Me and Angie, we went to Dallas a long time ago. So anyway, we went to Dallas, me and Angie, and we shopped at a clothing store similar to, like a secondhand store, like Goodwill store. It was kind of like a Goodwill store, but I don't know what the name was of it. Joel didn't program it like that to give me the name. But anyway, so the scenario, well, actually, I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so me and Angie went to Dallas and shopped at a clothing store. I remember seeing many of her clothes on the racks that she had donated, long ago, as we were walking around the secondhand store, kind of like the Goodwill store. Yeah, so as we walked through the store, I looked over to the left, and it was pink. She had some of the clothing, like big and hideous looking pink clothing. They were kind of big, hideous looking clothes. And I knew that those were hers, that she had donated previously. She wore clothes like that in real life, and, secondhand type of clothes in real life. Okay, let's see here. Okay, and this was a long experience, and we were outside in a mall area, driving around in my car in this shopping complex, and talking, etc., before walking into the clothing store, which was way over to the left of the parking lot, or the shopping center. Before we went into the clothing store, basically the scenario started when we were in the parking lot driving around and looking at stores and stuff. Before we went into the clothing store, a man met up with us beside my car. And a guy was there. What did I say? Yeah, a man met up with us beside my car. And he was there to meet us. And he wanted to buy my car. And he said he would help me get the tags for it. In the scenario, my car was older. In the scenario, my car was an older white Honda Accord. It was kind of more rounder looking in the front, but newer looking than 1988, which I used to own a 1988 Honda Accord in real life. But in the scenario, it was kind of newer looking than 1988, kind of more rounder looking in the front, and it was kind of nicer looking. When we walked out of the store after shopping for quite some time, my car had been stolen. It was gone. So then me and Angie walked around the parking lot trying to find it. I couldn't understand why he stole it, and I was perturbed and aggravated. I remember him saying he would help me with my VIN number, and Angie said I should call the cops and give them the VIN number, but I didn't trust that. Then eventually, I somehow already knew my car had been chopped up and the parts sold. I knew the cops would be too late to help me. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna go steal a car in real life, and they could have that thing chopped up in no time. You know, the cops are fucking slow asses. You know what I mean? So anyway, I knew the cops would be too late to help me in the scenario. This is all thoughts and stuff under the scenario. But I was so perturbed as I was walking around, me and Angie trying to find my damn car. I was so perturbed as we were walking around trying to find my car. And Joel gives me this, my car stolen theme a lot. They've given me this scenario a lot. Joel has, but not in a while. But yeah, that was a fun experience, and I almost freaking forgot it. Except I was sitting here, and it just started to come back to me. But I know there's, a little bit that I'm forgetting. Just a little bit. The second experience was so fun. It was kind of bizarre, but Joel, he likes to always put me in malls and stuff. And now, sometimes I'm thinking, maybe, it doesn't matter. This was all two experiences, and maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was all one experience, but I just, I'm pretending like it's two separate experiences, but maybe it was all one experience. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it was still, both two very different experiences, but, I don't know if, to me, it was still two experiences. But sometimes these experiences, if I think there's two separate experiences, maybe it was all part of the same one. But anyway, so that was the first experience. And so the second experience, the second experience, I was in Korea. Now, I think there's two Koreas. South and North or something like that, maybe even more. But I was in Korea. I don't know if it was South or North, but I was in Korea. And the funny thing is, I was asking him to take me to Korea, and I think that was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I was trying to give him ideas, and so, yeah, finally he takes me to Korea. Okay, so I was in Korea, and the scenario started where I was in a mall parking lot, and I was having a shootout with this other guy. He was trying to shoot at me, and I was trying to shoot back with little handguns. And the guy was, he looked about, mid-20s or whatever. And he wasn't white. He looked like he was either half black, half Hispanic, but he wasn't white. And this scenario too, there was about 10% white people. All the other people were Korean. And so So after we were having a shootout and stuff, it's like we got arrested, and they escorted us, the cops or whatever escorted us inside the mall. And then we were like, but we were inside, like we were in a particular store inside the mall, and it's like we were in a little confined area within that store, in the middle of the store. It was kind of weird. Like, I mean, I don't remember seeing like a fence or anything around us, but we were confined to this little area inside the store. I mean, I don't really remember seeing like walls all around us, but we were in this little confined area, and we were kind of hunkered down. I mean, I was like hunkering down, and he was hunkering down, and he was the one that was trying to like shoot at me, and I was trying to shoot at him too. And his handgun was just sitting there about 9 inches from his hands, and he wasn't trying to touch it or anything because he knew that we were already in trouble. And then he was kind of like, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like we became friends, and he was looking at me. It's like we became friends, and I know the aliens are, Joel is copying off of some guy that I recently saw on TV or whatever, this guy that was in my scenario. And so then he kind of looked at me and was like, well, I think I'm going to end up, dying, so you hurry up and get out of here and take off. Yeah, it was kind of weird, but anyway, yeah, so he said, like, hurry up and get out of here and escape, basically. Because he knew that he wouldn't be able to escape. He knew that he was going down or whatever. And so then I, like I said, apparently there was a door over there to the left, and I hurried up and walked out of there. But anyway, it was kind of weird because it was like he was my enemy and vice versa. But then as we both got caught inside this confinement area, it's like he wanted to be my friend, you know what I mean? Yeah, so then he was just kind of like, hurry up and get out of here, because he knew that he was going down, he knew that he wouldn't be able to escape. He knew that he was more of the perpetrator or whatever than I was. So then, like, I go over there, outside, I walk outside the door. Like I said, I don't actually remember seeing the door. But anyway, I walked outside the door, I hurried up and went outside the mall, and I started walking down the parking lot. Like right there, the mall was to the left, and then I saw all these Korean little young, like 20-something Korean girls, short. They all were kind of short, walking past me to the right. They just kind of looked like they were shopping. They're kind of like college student. Most of them were all females, and they were all Korean. And so as I looked over there was some, as I looked over there, I saw the windows of the mall, and I was hoping some of the Korean people or whoever wouldn't see me, you know what I mean? Because I was supposed to be confined to that little area. It was like a tiny little gel, inside that store in the mall. It was a department store. And, but Joel, he didn't tell me the name of it or anything. Okay, so basically, here's what it... yeah, so basically, like, we started shooting and stuff out here, and then we end up in the little confinement area of the mall, and then he tells me hurry up and, leave, and then I start going back outside, and then I start walking this way, and all these Korean women were walking this way. Okay, now here's the cool part. Here's the cool part I'm getting to. Okay, that right there. That was, so basically at this point, I'm trying to hide from the cops. Why is that all blurred up now? Okay, so at this point, I'm trying to like hide. So I'm trying to hurry up to find, some place to hide into. So what I just showed you, those wood doors, I mean, okay, these wood doors was like all like really old looking, carved, like more like little squares. They looked really, really, really old. They're pretty wide. And this is somewhat kind of what they look like. I mean, it was basically another store. But I'm getting to that in a minute. I gotta hurry up, man. Okay, so basically, okay, kind of look like that, but even older and carved. And here's another one that's even older. But it was, the doors were even a little bigger and wider than that. So I hurry up and I go inside those doors. And this store was owned by white people, like a man and a woman, and then there was like another woman worker. But it was owned by white people, this store. And so I went inside the wood doors, and I hurried up, and I had to walk up a bunch of steps. I kept walking up. I walked up about 3 flights of steps to get to this store. And this store was basically a statue store. And these freaking statues, now Joel didn't really tell me exactly how much they cost, but these freaking statues were at least $100,000 or more. And so I walk inside, and I'm just like, wow. Okay, all the walls and shit were like what I just told you. They were like carved wood and shit, and the floors were like carved wood. And but it also had the theme of like cowboys. Like I saw a bunch of cowboy hats, and some like leather cowboy hats, and some like leather clothing and stuff. And so it had a cowboy theme. And the funny thing is, I was like, wow, you know, I was thinking this is kind of like Texas Roadhouse. That's kind of funny. But yeah, and the store was massive. It was massive. It was big. And the ceilings were super high. Joel likes to make the ceilings like super duper 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 high in my scenarios. And but like I say, the walls was all like wood and carved, you know, just kind of like the front entrance that I just told you about. And so, and like I say, it was like 50% like cowboy theme and 50% freaking ritzy ass, expensive ass statues. And as I looked up, most of the statues were like, let's see, 6 to 7 feet tall. They weren't like little bitty statues. They were big statues. And like in the scenario, you don't think anything of it, but when I looked up, all these statues were just kind of like, you know, somehow, I don't really think they were hooked onto the ceiling. I think they were just kind of like floating, you know what I mean? They were just kind of floating down at an angle from the ceiling. Like all these statues, I mean, tons and tons and tons of statues. And basically that's how they were being stored. They weren't sitting on any shelves or anything. They were just kind of like hanging down at is that 45 degrees maybe? Hanging down, just kind of floating down from the ceiling, 45-degree angle or whatever. Tons and tons of ritzy ass statues. Some of the statues, like a lot of them were like kind of like animals. And but what I first noticed when I walked into the store, I looked up, and there was a chandelier, and there was at least let's see, a conglomerate of like 5 to 6 pearls, and these pearls were not quite as big as a well, I would say, no, not a basketball. They were about as big as a volleyball. These 6 freaking pearls, this was like a chandelier. They were as big as a freaking volleyball, and they were pearls. And they were like this. It's like they were like this. They were just sort of like a pretty conglomerate, and they were just kind of like hanging down from the ceiling. But of course they looked much prettier than this. But they were just kind of like this. Like, you know, just kind of hanging down from the ceiling. like that, to make a chandelier. And then I noticed that first, and then I started looking at all the statues, and all the statues were just kind of like coming down, you know, like from the ceiling. When the ceiling, like I said, was super high, and there was tons of them. I mean, there were at least, like I said, it was a statue store. There was at least what I was gonna say, at least okay, hold on, at least, wait, how many statues? Anyway, they were all over the ceiling. I mean, there was, there wasn't really any area of the ceiling that didn't have a statue, you know, hanging down or whatever. Now, I also, part of the store, I went over to the left, over to my left after I looked at the chandelier, and that's when I started to see kind of some more cowboy stuff. Some cowboy hats, and then I remember seeing some counters, and there was a man right there, a white man, and he was a part owner, and then the white woman, I guess, was the wife, and she was part owner. Okay, it was already getting to be 10 minutes after 5 p.m., and the other lady that worked in the candy shop, she started walking around, and she said, "Hey, we close at 5 o'clock." And that's when I walked over there, and straight ahead of where the chandelier was, and that's where a candy shop was. And so because I knew that I needed, like, they didn't know that I was in trouble. I knew I needed to hide, and so I thought, okay, well maybe I'll just go into the candy shop. So I went into the candy shop, and it was a very small little room. I mean, not that small, but it was a small room of candy and stuff. And that's where I knew that I was going to try to hide out for good. And my intention was to kind of hurry up and see them leave, and I would just stay there overnight, and they wouldn't notice that I was still in the store. But the statues, man, I mean, I don't know, they were like, some of them kind of like had pearlish, like, covers on them, and like gold trim, silver trim. But I mean, they were expensive freaking statues. I mean, $100,000, $1 million statues, man. That was so cool. And that was like, that was just as cool as the freaking blue igloo that Joel stuck me in. So yeah, so basically, like I say, there's 3 people in the store. The 2 women, the candy little shop worker, and then the guy and the woman. They were walking around, and they were like part owners. They owned the statue store. But yeah, so then I went to the candy store, and like I say, she said it was already 10 minutes after 5, and she said we close at 5 o'clock. And then after that, I started thinking, okay, I'm going to wait till they leave the store, and I'm just going to kind of hide until they leave the store. And then they wouldn't know that I was in the store. Nobody would know that I was in the store, and then I would be hidden, you know, from the cops and shit. Okay, I didn't write this down. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. But it's hard, like, okay, hold on. It's hard for, see, I'm trying to, remember, like, the exact features and stuff of some of the statues. That should not be hard. I don't know why. I mean, I should remember some of those features and stuff, but I know a lot of them were like animals. Like cat-looking things or bear-looking things. But, oh my god, it's just, I mean, these statues were super expensive. And like I say, they were just kind of like hanging there at an angle from the ceiling, except they really weren't hanging. You know, they were more like floating, but I didn't think anything of it when I was in the scenario. But, let's see if I could draw a picture. But yeah, like the whole walls and the floor, it was all carved like wood. And like reddish, brownish, cherry wood. Okay, here's the ceiling, and then of course the statues are just kind of all hanging down like that. And like I say, these statues were not little. They were 6-7 feet long, I mean, tall and about, let's see, 1, 2, 3.5 feet wide. But it was the most amazing thing to see that. Like, here's the ceiling, and then here's statues are just hanging down like that. Shiba! But yeah, that funny. I mean, Joel did that on purpose. He tried to create something really good for me, because I told him, create something for me just as good as that freaking blue igloo that you stuck me in, or that I walked from the mall. I opened the doors. I walked 2 or 3 feet inside, from the mall, that mall, and boom, I was in a domed, huge igloo. The igloo, all the ice was tinted blue, light blue, and that was the most amazing thing, because it was like, I could feel like a 20-30 degree temperature drop when I went in there. And you could feel the like coldness and mistiness in the air, and there was even the snowflakes. I was coming down, and I was like touching them, and I could feel the coldness. But this one, well, this experience doesn't trump that one, but this was on the par of that one, just because of those statues and shit. But I can't remember, the specific super duper clear. I can't remember specific, the features and stuff, because I'm already out of the scenario, but I wish I could remember some of the features and exactly what some of them, look like exactly, but a lot of them were like animals and stuff, but anyway, it was just amazing. I mean, I knew those statues were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But anyway, yeah, let's see if am I forgetting anything? Nope, I don't think I am. Well, anyway, thanks for listening.